Hello, family. Enjoy this great and beautiful moment with Afri Stories. Remember to hit the like button, subscribe, and comment. It means the world to us. Also, share this video with your friends and loved ones, and don't miss future videos from us. Sit back and relax as we dive into the story. Zara woke moments before dawn, aware of Elijah's steady warmth beside her, yet unsettled by a subtle chill she couldn't name. He was there, as he had been for years, yet something felt off. The silence between them weighed heavily. Even in slumber, she lay still, listening to his breathing catch every so often, an uncharacteristic hitch that pricked her nerves, though she couldn't pinpoint why. Today, he felt like a stranger. When the alarm buzzed, she expected his usual groan and gentle tease about needing 5 more minutes. Instead, Elijah swung his feet onto the floor, without a word. Zara's pulse quickened. She pushed the covers aside, watching him reach for the clothes he placed on the chair the night before. His movement seemed deliberate, almost guarded. She wanted to ask if he was okay. Instead, she swallowed her worry, hoping not to break the fragile morning calm. In the kitchen, Zara attempted to conjure normalcy by brewing coffee. The familiar aroma usually coaxed a smile from Elijah, yet when she handed him a steaming mug, he merely nodded. Their fingers brushed for a moment, but his touch felt fleeting. No lingering warmth, no casual affection. He finally spoke, voice low and tight. "I have to fly to Chicago this afternoon. Some last-minute investor meeting. I didn't have time to tell you." The admission sounded forced, almost rehearsed. Immediately, Zara's stomach tightened. Elijah hated surprises, and always shared his schedule well in advance. This abrupt trip didn't align with how meticulously he planned his work life. She tried to sound calm. "Oh," that came up fast. "Will you be gone long?" He shrugged, eyes flickering away from hers. "Just overnight. Maybe back by tomorrow." Normally, Zara might have teased him about a whirlwind trip or asked more questions. Instead, she held her tongue, scanning his face for any clue he was lying. Nothing about his expression offered comfort. A faint tremor in his voice told her there was more he wasn't saying. By the time he finished packing, the sun had risen fully, painting the kitchen in a bright glow that felt almost mocking. Zara hovered in the doorway, watching him zip his bag. She noticed with a jolt of unease his favorite cufflinks still lying on the counter. He never traveled without them. They were a gift from her on their first anniversary, a small silver pair engraved with his initials, which he treated like a lucky charm. Leaving them behind spoke volumes. "Elijah," she said softly, holding out the cufflinks. "Aren't you forgetting these?" He glanced at them, momentarily appearing conflicted, then shook his head. "No, I won't need them this time." The finality in his tone silenced her. He stepped back, hefting his suitcase, eyes dropping to the floor. His reluctance to meet her gaze cut deeper than any explanation he might have given. At the front door, he paused as if he might say something of substance. Instead, he offered a half-smile that didn't reach his eyes. "I'll text when I land. Promise." Zara forced a nod. She wanted to beg him to talk, to explain whatever weighed on his mind, but fear of pushing him away kept her rooted in place. He slipped out, leaving an unexpected hush behind. For a long moment, Zara stood there, hands trembling. She tried to dismiss the dark thoughts swirling in her head. Hidden debt, business trouble, or worse, a secret affair. Shaking off the wave of anxiety, she decided to busy herself. Work didn't start for another couple of hours, so she methodically folded laundry, wiped counters, and scrolled mindlessly through social media. Each mundane task felt like a feeble attempt to ignore the gnawing suspicion taking root in her heart. When she checked the clock, it was mid-morning. She pictured Elijah at the airport, pacing by a gate, but a sliver of doubt warned her he might never board a plane. She pressed her lips together, torn between respecting his privacy and confronting him. Finally, curiosity won out. She grabbed her phone and opened the shared travel itinerary app they used to coordinate trips. The entry Elijah had listed, Flight 427 to Chicago, glared back at her. Without thinking, she tapped the listing to see if it matched any official schedule. Nothing. Frowning, she tried a flight tracker site. Again, no match. A chill crawled up her spine. Why would he lie about a flight number? She took a shaky breath and texted him, "Hope you have a safe flight. Let me know when you're boarding." Minutes passed without a reply. Unable to quell her growing dread, Zara checked his online calendar next. It was blank for today. No meetings, no notes about Chicago, nothing that might explain the sudden trip. Her heart pounded. She navigated to his laptop, which he occasionally forgot at home when rushed. Sure enough, it was still on his desk. If he intended to finalize an investor pitch, why abandon the very files he would need? Hesitating, Zara opened the laptop. A wave of guilt washed over her, but fear overwhelmed any sense of boundaries. She clicked through his recent activity, seeing no trace of itinerary emails or pitch documents. Most suspiciously, the browser history looked freshly cleared. Yet, one partially deleted tab caught her eye. A reservation confirmation for a ritzy hotel downtown, booked for the night, under an unfamiliar name, Eric Darlington. Staring at the booking details, room number, date, and time, Zara felt her stomach lurch. Her husband hadn't flown anywhere. He was still in the city, and he'd gone to great lengths to hide it. Whatever he was involved in, he'd just provided the biggest clue yet. She closed the laptop, heart hammering. The revelation was more unsettling than she'd imagined. Cufflinks left behind, a bogus flight, and now a secret hotel reservation under a false name. Gathering her courage, she rose and grabbed her keys. If Elijah wouldn't tell her the truth, she would find it herself. Something had changed in him overnight, and she refused to remain in the dark. Zara spent the next several hours in a state of restless anxiety, unable to shake the image of that hotel reservation and the phony flight. Each time her mind circled back to the words Eric Darlington, her stomach twisted. She told herself it could be a misunderstanding, that maybe Elijah was planning a surprise for her. Yet doubt clung to every rational thought, and she found herself pacing the living room, replaying their morning interactions with laser-like scrutiny. Eventually, she sank onto the sofa, drumming her fingers on the armrest. The house felt impossibly quiet without Elijah's presence. Normally, she might relish a peaceful day off, but now that hush was maddening. She glanced at her phone for the 10th time, hoping for a text from him explaining everything. Still nothing. Unable to bear the uncertainty any longer, she opened the travel itinerary app again, determined to verify her suspicions. The flight number he'd mentioned remained in the system, Flight 427 to Chicago, but the app flagged it as unrecognized. Frowning, Zara switched to a flight tracking website. Typing in the same code, the site returned 0 results. Her heart sank. There was no glitch. The flight truly didn't exist. A wave of cold anger rose within her. She hated the feeling of being deceived. Worse was the fear that accompanied it. Elijah wasn't just withholding details. He was actively lying. The memory of his tense posture and unwillingness to meet her eyes that morning replayed in her head, and she felt betrayed all over again. With trembling hands, she sent him a terse text. "Where are you? Your flight info isn't showing up anywhere. Please call me." Minutes crept by with no reply. She tapped her phone against her knee, each thud intensifying her agitation. A nagging voice inside asked if she should call a friend for advice, but she hesitated. Sharing her suspicions felt too raw, too personal, as a voice in them would make the betrayal real. Finally, her phone chimed. She jumped, heart pounding. It was a text from Elijah. Landed safe. Love you. Those 3 words, once so comforting, now fell hollow. How could he have landed when the flight never took off? She stared at the message, her emotions seesawing between confusion and hurt. Was he trying to cover his tracks? Or had he truly convinced himself this false story would hold up? Desperate for more clues, she rose and returned his laptop, still sitting on the desk where she'd left it. Her earlier discovery of the hotel reservation had answered none of her questions. She reopened the browser, noticing how the history was mostly cleared, as though he hadn't wanted her to stumble upon anything else. A solitary email stub lingered, referencing Eric Darlington. Reservation confirmed. She clicked it again, hoping to glean more details. The confirmation was for tonight at a high-end hotel downtown. Zara hovered over the guest alias, a knot forming in her gut. There was no mention of Elijah's name anywhere. Just check-in instructions, billing details for a premium suite, and a timestamp. The check-in time was fast approaching. She jotted the address in her phone, wondering if she dared to show up there. The thought of confronting him unannounced made her blood run hot. But what other option did she have? Feeling suffocated in her own home, she slipped on her shoes and ventured outside. The late afternoon sun was warm, though Zara felt chilled to the bone. She walked a few blocks, hoping fresh air might clear her head. Each passing car made her flinch, wondering if Elijah might be inside, return confess everything. Of course, he never appeared. After a short loop around the neighborhood, she found herself back in the driveway. Her feet dragged as she climbed the porch steps. She wasn't sure how to handle a confrontation at some posh hotel, but the need for answers overrode any fear of awkwardness or heartbreak. She entered the house, prepared to gather her courage. Just then, her phone buzzed. She snatched it up, pulses of adrenaline spiking. Another text from Elijah flashed on the screen. Meetings all day. Talk tonight. Meetings? With who? The pit in her stomach deepened. Recalling the times he claimed to be at the office, while seemingly in two places at once. If he was truly busy, why lie about the flight? Why the alias? Her heart hammered, pushing her frustration to a breaking point. She dropped her phone into her purse and opened a note on her calendar app, typing a list of questions she would demand answered if she saw him tonight. But each question spawned two more, until she realized no simple explanation could excuse this tangled mess of deception. Unable to wait passively, she grabbed her car keys. Her reflection in the hallway mirror caught her attention, eyes wide with determination, lips set in a firm line. She barely recognized herself. Yet beneath that steel resolve flickered deep anxiety. Even if Elijah had a plausible excuse, how would their marriage survive such a breach of trust? The drive downtown felt both endless and terrifyingly quick. She circled the block near the upscale hotel. Part of her prayed it was all a misunderstanding. Another part feared what she might find, evidence of an affair, illegal activities, or secrets she couldn't even name. Parking a short distance away, she approached on foot, noticing the building's sleek exterior sparkling under the streetlights. Inside, the lobby was hushed and elegant, polished marble reflecting warm overhead fixtures. A courteous receptionist greeted her. Zara forced a smile, heart pounding. "Hi, I'm meeting someone. I believe the reservation might be under Eric Darlington." She held her breath, bracing for rejection. Instead, the receptionist nodded politely, typing on her computer. "Yes, we have Mr. Darlington in our system. Will you need a key for his suite?" Zara swallowed, fighting the urge to bolt. She managed a tight nod, accepting the small plastic card. Her hand shook as she tucked it into her purse. This was it. Avoiding the receptionist's curious gaze, she made her way to the elevator, chest tight with apprehension. Whatever waited on the other side of that door, she could no longer run from it. If Elijah was here, if he truly had constructed a tapestry of lies, she would finally see for herself. One way or another, the truth was about to reveal itself. Zara stepped off the elevator onto the 9th floor, heart pounding as she followed the gold lettering on the wall towards Suite 918. Every footstep echoed unnervingly, and her grip on the key card tightened. Just minutes earlier, the receptionist had handed it over without question. Now there was no turning back. If this was truly where Elijah, masquerading as Eric Darlington, was staying, she had to know why. Her breath hitched as the door beeped and swung open. Soft lighting illuminated a tastefully decorated room, the scent of cologne lingering in the air. At first glance, it looked like a romantic getaway. A plush king-size bed, a half-chilled bottle of champagne resting in an ice bucket, and 2 crystal glasses set neatly on a side table. Yet the sight only deepened her dread. It felt staged, too perfect. Most alarming of all, the suite appeared empty. "Hello?" she called, voice trembling despite her effort to sound composed. No response. She edged forward, scanning for signs of recent activity. A suit jacket lay tossed over a chair, but it wasn't one she recognized from Elijah's wardrobe. A trail of faint footprints on the carpet, led toward the bathroom. She paused in the doorway, half expecting to find him inside. Instead, the light was off and the sink basin dry. A buzzing from the bed startled her. She spotted a phone, face down on the coverlet. Her heart lurched. Elijah's phone? But his phone wallpaper usually displayed a photo of them together. This device was locked, showing only an unfamiliar numeric keypad. As she picked it up, a message flickered on screen. The sender was listed as iCloud Alert, followed by an address, a location in the heart of downtown. Zara's pulse hammered. She pressed the home button, but it prompted a passcode. Another buzz, another message. Tracker online. Ping updated. 14 minutes away. She sucked in a shaky breath, sensing that whoever owned this phone was tracking someone. A fleeting thought hit her. Maybe it was Elijah's secondary phone, or someone else's entirely. The sense of intrusion gnawed at her, but she couldn't afford to be polite. She needed answers. Without thinking, she tucked the device into her purse. She had to decipher those pings. If there was any chance they led to Elijah, she couldn't leave the phone behind. Before exiting, she took a final sweep of the room. The closet was empty, save for a few hangers. No luggage, no toiletry bag, no sign of her husband. She opened the nightstand drawer, finding nothing but a lonely room service menu. Frustration mingled with fear. He was close, she felt it, but the suite yielded no direct clue of his whereabouts. The only lead was the phone's mysterious location updates. She slipped out, carefully locking the door behind her, mind buzzing with possibilities. Could Elijah be involved in something illegal? Was he meeting someone here? Another woman, perhaps? The tension clawed at her. She reminded herself of the odd money transfers she'd uncovered, the fake flight. Everything pointed to a bigger secret than just an affair. In the hallway, a well-dressed couple passed by, laughing softly. Zara ducked her head, slipping into the elevator with them. They exited on the 6th floor, leaving her alone for the final descent to the lobby. Her reflection in the mirrored panel showed a woman teetering on the edge of panic, eyes round with worry. This morning, she'd awakened next to her husband. Now, she was chasing shadows that seemed increasingly sinister. Reaching the lobby, she nodded politely at the receptionist, who returned a polite smile. Outside, the cool night air rushed to meet her as she stepped onto the street. She glanced around, unsure where to go next. A fresh vibration from her purse made the choice for her. The phone screen displayed a new alert. Location change. 1.2 miles away. Contact loss. Her heart raced. Someone or something was tracking movement. She couldn't tell if it was Elijah's location or a different user entirely. Without a passcode, she couldn't dig further into the phone settings. Still, a small map preview pulsed on a lock screen, pointing to a spot not far from her. She recognized the cross streets as somewhere near the bustling downtown square. Every instinct in her urged caution, but she also felt a fiery determination to see this through. Moments later, she was in her car, engine humming as she navigated downtown's crowded streets. The phone updated again, pinging a narrower target. She glimpsed the traffic light turning red and groaned. Frustration built, her mind racing with every second stuck behind rows of brake lights. "Please, just stay put," she muttered, imagining that her husband might be at the pin location. Steps from a revelation she couldn't yet fathom. Eventually, she managed to park near a sleek high-rise with tinted windows. Double-checking the map icon on the phone, she confirmed this was where the last ping led. Her stomach twisted as she approached the building. Through the glass doors, she saw a small lobby with a security desk. Gathering her courage, she stepped inside. A tall, broad-shouldered guard eyed her. "Evening, miss. Can I help you?" His tone was polite but firm. She swallowed. I'm meeting someone. I think he might have just come in." He blinked. "I haven't seen anyone new in the last half hour, except you." He gave a pointed glance at the phone she clutched in her hand. "Is there a name or an apartment number?" Zara fumbled for a plausible story. "I'm not sure. I just have—" She held up the screen, which simply showed a blinking. The guard's brow furrowed. "Ma'am, I'm not sure what that is, but we can't let people wander unescorted. A surge of desperation lit her nerves. Please, it's an emergency. My husband, he's missing. She realized how wild she sounded, brandishing a phone that didn't belong to her. Yet the guard's expression softened. He sighed. I'm sorry. Even if he's here, I can't allow random visitors upstairs. He gestured toward a row of elevators. Unless you have an official pass or someone buzzes you in, there's nothing I can do. Humiliated and no closer to a solution, Zara left, stepping back onto the sidewalk. The phone vibrated yet again with a brand new ping, this time indicating a location just 3 blocks away. She stared at it, baffled. Was she being led on a wild chase? Or was Elijah the one dropping crumbs? For reasons she couldn't understand? With one last glance at the looming high-rise, she hurried down the block, pulse throbbing in her neck. She had no plan beyond following the next ping. If it truly guided her to Elijah, then she'd confront him. If it was all a trap, well, she would deal with that, too. As she rounded the corner onto a dimly lit street, the phone screen flickered, showing a final update. Connection loss. Then everything went dark. The map vanished, replaced by an empty lock screen. Zara felt a surge of panic at the abrupt silence. She stood there alone, heart banging against her ribs, enveloped in questions she couldn't begin to answer. Zara stood frozen on that dimly lit street, the screen of the mysterious phone now black. The sudden silence felt like a gut punch after all the frantic beeping and pings that had led her through half the city. She glanced around, heart hammering in her chest, unsure what her next move should be. The old phone remained useless, unresponsive to every tap of her fingertip. A gust of cool wind ruffled her hair. She hugged her coat closer, fighting the sense that she was teetering on the edge of something far bigger than she'd imagined. With no location updates left to follow, she had 2 options: give up and go home, or press on, find another clue. The thought of returning home to a silent house filled her with dread, so she chose to keep going. She retraced her steps to the nearby intersection, scanning the buildings for anything that might match the cryptic addresses she'd seen pop up on the phone. Most storefronts were dark, shutters closed to the night. Her gaze fell on a modern tower with soft, golden lights illuminating a glass entrance. A sleek sign declared it was a new luxury hotel. She paused, remembering how the hotel's suite registered under Eric Darlington had felt so bizarrely staged. Could Elijah have switched locations? Drawing a steady breath, she slipped inside the lobby. It was nearly deserted. The only occupant a lone receptionist who offered a polite nod. Zara mustered a tentative smile and approached, still clutching the dead phone like a talisman. "Excuse me," she began, voice trembling slightly. "I'm looking for a friend. I'm not sure if he's staying here tonight." The receptionist tapped at her computer. "Name, please?" Zara hesitated. "He might not be registered under his real name," she admitted, recalling Eric Darlington. But she doubted he'd used the same alias twice. She pressed her lips together and tried another angle. "Could you tell me if there was a last-minute booking tonight? Maybe something unusual?" The woman frowned politely. "I'm afraid I can't release guest information without proper identification." Then her gaze flicked to Zara's purse, with a corner of a key card peeked out. "Unless you already have a key? Was that issued here?" Zara looked down, startled. She'd forgotten about the spare key card from the earlier suite. Quickly, she tucked it away. "No, that's from elsewhere," she said. "Sorry to bother you." She turned to leave, shoulders sagging in defeat, until another phone in the lobby began to ring. The receptionist answered, nodded, then called out, "Miss, wait." Zara stopped mid-step. The woman raised a brow. "There's a gentleman who says you might be looking for him. He asked that I give you this." She held out a key card bearing no name or room number, only the hotel's insignia. Zara's pulse thundered. Was it Elijah? Or someone else continuing this twisted game? She took the key without questioning further. The receptionist offered a neutral smile, gesturing toward the elevator bank. Zara thanked her with a nod, legs shaky as she moved across the pristine marble floor. Once inside the elevator, she realized there was no button pressed, no floor indicated. She studied the key card, noticing a faint printed code, 22. She tried the 22nd floor button, and the elevator hummed into motion. Nerves fluttered in her stomach. Was she walking into a trap, or finally closing in on an explanation? A soft chime signaled her arrival. The corridor was hushed, the plush carpet muffling her footsteps as she followed the room numbers. At the far end stood a single door with no plaque or nameplate, a stark contrast to the other suites. Steeling herself, she slid the key card into the slot. It blinked green, and the door clicked open. She stepped into a spacious, dimly lit suite. Floor-to-ceiling windows revealed the glowing skyline. A bottle of champagne sat on a low table, cork already popped. Nearby lay a scatter of clothes, a stylish men's blazer, designer trousers, an unfamiliar scarf. She examined them briefly, noting none belonged to Elijah. Her anxiety spiked. If this wasn't Elijah's room, then whose was it? "Hello," she called, voice echoing. The only answer was the hum of the air conditioning. She moved through the suite, checking the bathroom, the small kitchenette, and finally the balcony. No one. All that greeted her was emptiness. On the glass coffee table, her personal phone, began buzzing. She nearly dropped the dead device she'd carried in one hand, startled to see her own phone lighting up. She hadn't realized she'd stuffed it in her purse after losing the location pings. The screen flashed, unknown number, video message. Her heart thudded as she opened the message. The video feed flickered, revealing Elijah in dim lighting. His face was drawn, shadows etched around his eyes. He spoke in a hurried whisper. "Zara, if you're seeing this, then you're already in danger." He cast a quick glance off screen, voice quivering. "I'm sorry for lying. I had no choice. I'm trying to keep you safe." She froze, pulse pounding. Elijah's breath came uneven through the recording. "There are people who threatened everything. My work, our home. I can't let them find you." He swallowed, struggling to steady himself. "I knew you wouldn't stop looking if I just vanished, but I never wanted you to chase me this far. If you love me, please, get out of that hotel before it's 2. The video cut off abruptly. Zara stood rigid. The final frame of Elijah's terrified expression burned into her mind. For a moment, the entire suite felt suffocating, as though the walls were closing in. She replayed his words in her head. "If you love me, please, get out." As she tried to gather her thoughts, the suite's door rattled. Someone was turning the handle. Zara's heart lurched. She backed away, scanning for a hiding place. A second later, the handle stopped moving. Silence. Every muscle in her body tensed, half expecting someone to burst in. When she dared to step closer, she peered through the peephole into an empty hallway. Whoever it was had vanished. Her mind spun with questions. Had that person brought her key card to the lobby? Had they come back to confirm she was inside? She felt a powerful urge to flee. If Elijah believed she was in danger, she had to go. But part of her recoiled at the thought of running without any answers. She pressed her forehead against the door, torn between her husband's warning and her own fierce determination. Finally, the adrenaline surged, overriding doubt. She grabbed her phone, stuffed in her purse, and headed toward the elevator. Whatever secrets had driven Elijah into hiding, she refused to cower. She would unravel this mystery, even if it meant walking a razor's edge between danger and truth. Zara's heels clicked on the pavement as she hurried away from the hotel, her pulse still hammering in her ears. The final image of Elijah's fearful face lingered in her mind. "If you love me, please, get out," he'd pleaded. Yet despite her mounting terror, she couldn't abandon her search. She needed to see him, to understand why he was hiding behind false names and ominous warnings. Outside, the night air felt thin, as if she couldn't draw a full breath. She slid into her car, locking the doors before she let herself exhale. Her phone vibrated. Another notification from the same unknown number. This time, it wasn't video, just a text. "We need to talk. Now." She typed back furiously. "Elijah? Where are you? Please." Seconds later, her phone rang. "Zara?" His voice trembled with exhaustion. Relief and anger flooded her simultaneously. "Elijah, what is going on?" she demanded, tears burning her eyes. "I've been chasing you across the city. Hotels, fake flights, cryptic messages. What are you wrapped up in?" He hesitated, each shaky breath audible through the line. "I can't tell you everything. Not yet. You have to trust me." "How can I trust you when you've been lying to me?" she snapped, frustration tearing at her. "Why the aliases? Who threatened you? And why do you keep insisting I'm in danger?" A pained groan escaped him. "Because it's true. There's a man I once considered a mentor, Paul Renault. He's the CFO at my firm. I discovered he's been laundering money under shell corporations, and I confronted him. I thought I could fix it from within, but things escalated fast. He threatened you, Zara, said if I didn't back off, you'd be the one paying the price." She swallowed hard. "And you believed him?" "Yes," Elijah said, voice raw. "You've seen the lengths I've gone to. I never wanted you involved. But you started noticing my behavior, and now you're tangled in this mess." Her chest tightened with fear and anger. "So you lied to keep me away?" "I had to," he insisted, voice wavering. "I started using an alias, Eric Darlington, renting rooms to meet contacts who could help me gather proof. I was working with a whistleblower, but they backed out when things turned violent." Zara pressed her fingertips against her temples. "Violent? Elijah, this is madness." "I know," he whispered. "I'm close to getting enough evidence to force Paul out, but he has connections everywhere. If he catches wind you're helping me, he'll come after you. And once you started tracking me, I had to feed you false leads just to keep you safe." She recalled the phony flight, the stage hotel suite, even mysterious phone. It all made horrifying sense. Elijah creating a breadcrumb trail, while staying steps ahead of anyone else following. "Is that why you sent that second phone? The one with all the location pings?" Elijah hesitated. "I left it for you to find, yes, but someone else hijacked its signal. I don't know who. We're not the only ones playing this game." A chill ran through her. "So what happens now?" His reply came swiftly, laden with urgency. "Meet me. We'll figure out how to protect ourselves and nail Paul. But you can't come directly. He's watching all my known contacts." Zara's heart pounded. "Where then? How do I find you?" A muffled sound made her strain to hear. It sounded like footsteps, then a door closing on Elijah's end. "In an hour. Check your phone for directions. I'll send you a secure location. Please, Zara, trust me just enough to follow my lead." She wrestled with the impulse to demand more answers. "All right," she whispered. "But if this is another trick—" "It's not," Elijah promised. "I never wanted to lie. I'm doing this for us." He hung up before she could respond, leaving Zara staring at her reflection in the rearview mirror. Tears threatened, but she forced them back, inhaling deeply. As twisted as the story sounded, at least it gave shape to the swirling chaos in her mind. She drove aimlessly, too restless to wait in one place. After nearly an hour, her phone buzzed. A text from the unknown number displayed a single address, nearly on the outskirts of town. A wave of trepidation stirred in her. She recalled Elijah's trembling voice. Despite everything, she still loved him, still wanted the truth. Following the GPS, she found herself in an abandoned strip mall whose parking lot was overgrown with weeds. Dim streetlights flickered overhead. She double-checked the text. "Meet me behind the old hardware store." Nervous adrenaline flooded her as she parked and stepped out, scanning the silent row of shuttered windows. "Elijah," she called softly, hugging her arms against the cool air. No response. Gravel crunched beneath her sneakers as she moved around the corner. An old loading dock stretched behind the building, its metal doors locked and covered in graffiti. Stacks of rotting pallets formed ominous shapes in the shadows. A figure stepped out from behind a rusted dumpster, and Zara's heart lurched. It was Elijah, eyes dark with fatigue. She raced toward him, relief and anger colliding. The moment she reached him, she slapped his shoulder, tears spilling over. "You had me running in circles," she hissed, voice trembling with a blend of fury and love. He pulled her into a desperate embrace. "I'm sorry," he managed, lips against her hair. "I was scared you'd get hurt if you found out too much." She jerked away, wiping her tears. "Start talking. You said you have proof? Something that can stop this, Paul." Elijah nodded, rummaging through his jacket pocket. He retrieved a small flash drive. Records, wire transfers, shell company listings. Enough to sink him if we can get these files to the right people. But he's on to me. That's why I've been moving from place to place, using aliases. Zara closed her eyes, steadying her breath. So many questions still rattled her. But one thing was clear. Elijah was risking everything to expose Paul. How do we deliver this evidence without drawing fire? He grimaced, gaze darting around. "I have one more meeting tonight. Someone who's agreed to testify, if I bring proof. After that, we'll go to the authorities. But I can't guarantee Paul won't send someone to intercept us." A distant rumble of an engine cut through the tense silence. Headlights raked across the crumbling lot. Elijah grabbed her hand. "We have to move now. If that's Paul's men." They hurried toward her car, hearts pounding as the headlights veered into an adjacent alley. For the moment, it seemed they were alone. Elijah inhaled shakily. "Come on, let's finish this. Then we can finally go home." He squeezed her hand. Zara felt fear and resolve coiling together inside her. She threw one last glance at the deserted parking lot before following him, determined to face whatever threat lay ahead. Elijah navigated the darkened streets with tense focus, Zara beside him in the passenger seat. She clutched the flash drive that supposedly held enough evidence to bring down Paul Renault, the man threatening their lives. The car's headlights cut swaths through the midnight gloom as they headed toward the abandoned train station on the outskirts of town. Every few moments, Elijah glanced in the rearview mirror, fear simmering in his eyes. Zara's throat felt tight. "Are you sure this is where your contact wants to meet?" she asked, voice hushed. He nodded. "It's the only place he feels safe enough to talk." Paul's men have eyes everywhere. His knuckles whitened against the steering wheel. "I have to show him the files, so he'll agree to testify. We need his corroboration to ensure the authorities take this seriously." She absently rubbed the flash drive in her palm. "And after that?" Elijah exhaled, jaw clenched. "We go straight to a federal investigator. With luck, we'll be safe under official protection once we hand this over." His gaze flicked her way. "I'm sorry I dragged you into this." Zara bit her lip. "You didn't drag me anywhere. I came looking for you." The abandoned train station loomed into view, skeletal beams rusting under a weak moon. Elijah pulled into a nearby lot, headlights illuminating cracked pavement and old rails that vanished into overgrown weeds. They stepped out into the chill air, boots crunching on gravel. Within moments, two silhouettes emerged from behind a crumbling pillar. One man appeared tall and imposing in a tailored suit, while a companion stood slightly behind him, face hidden in shadow. Zara's pulse thundered. She edged closer to Elijah, scanning their surroundings for signs of an ambush. The station's hollow arches resonated with distant echoes of dripping water. The men advanced, footsteps heavy on the concrete. "Elijah," the taller man said, his voice echoing in the cavernous space. "Got the files?" Elijah gave a terse nod, producing a small envelope containing the flash drive. "I need your testimony, Mark. You promised." The man called Mark offered a grudging tilt of his head. "Yeah, I know what I said. Paul's gone off the rails, and I'm done protecting him." He reached for the envelope. "Let me see." Zara held her breath as Mark handed the envelope to his silent associate, who pulled out the flash drive with gloved fingers. The second man fished a small laptop from a battered briefcase and inserted the drive. The faint glow of the screen threw shadows across the station's broken floor. Time stretched, taut as a wire. Every second felt perilous. Zara's heart hammered while the men scrolled through incriminating records of Paul's illicit accounts. She leaned toward Elijah. "Is this it? Once they confirm the data, are we free?" He squeezed her hand gently, but his expression remained grim. "Let's hope so." Suddenly, a new set of footsteps reverberated through the station. Zara's spine tensed. From the darkness emerged two more men in suits, their postures rigid with intent. One clutched a small firearm. Zara's breath caught. Mark recoiled. This wasn't the deal. He raised his hands in alarm, voice trembling. I'm here to help you bury Paul, not. Shut up, growled the armed man, eyes flicking between Mark and Elijah. Hand over that drive. Paul sends his regards. Zara's heart seized. She tried to edge behind Elijah, dread coiling in her belly. The silent associate attempted to pocket a laptop and a flash drive, but the armed man stepped forward, pistol glinting under a flickering overhead light. Don't even think about it. Elijah stepped forward, voice tight with defiance. We have enough to implicate Paul. Even if you kill us, the information is out there. You can't silence the truth forever. The man's lips curled into a sneer. You think you're some hero? Paul's not the only one in this. We have bigger plans. Don't be naive. A frigid wave of realization swept over Zara. This conspiracy extended deeper than one corrupt CFO. Her thoughts spun, searching for a way out. If they surrendered the flash drive, any chance at justice vanished. Yet if they resisted, the men would likely fire without hesitation. Elijah shot her a meaningful look, his gaze flicking toward a nearby pile of debris, maybe a place to duck. She shifted her stance, knees trembling, ready to move. Mark, too, clenched his jaw, inching sideways. Suddenly, everything erupted at once. Gunfire cracked through the station, bullets pinging off metal beams. Zara dropped to ground, heart pounding against her ribcage. She heard Mark shout, then another voice cry out. The laptop clattered across the floor. Amid the chaos, Elijah lunged forward, trying to shield Zara from a hail of bullets. When the noise finally subsided, a strangled gasp filled the air. One of Paul's men lay motionless on the concrete, a bullet wound darkening his suit. The other staggered, clutching his shoulder, then fled into the darkness. Mark was kneeling, uninjured but shaken, Zara's chest constricted. Elijah? She crawled across the cold ground, searching for him amid the swirling dust. She found him lying on his side, grimacing in pain, a red stain blossoming across his shirt. No, she breathed, pressing her hand to the wound. Stay with me. Her voice cracked. His eyes flickered, breath ragged. I'm okay. Just a graze, I think. He inhaled sharply. Hurts like hell, though. Mark, trembling, picked up the laptop and the drive. We have to get you out of here. The authorities... Someone must have heard the shots. Let's go. Sirens wailed in the distance, echoing through the deserted station. Zara helped Elijah to his feet. His face went pale, but he managed to stand, leaning on her. They moved toward the exit, each step precarious. Her mind spun, fear swirling with fierce relief that he was alive. Outside, strobing blue and red lights illuminated the night. Police cars screeched to a halt, officers spilling out with weapons drawn. Mark raised his hands, shouting about evidence. Zara clutched Elijah, heart pounding as she tried to explain. Confusion abounded until paramedics arrived, ushering Elijah onto a stretcher. Amid the frenzy, Zara knelt beside him, clutching his hand. Tears blurred her vision, but gratitude kept her breathing. They'd survived the gauntlet. Those scars, both seen and unseen, would remain. Elijah gripped her fingers weakly, voice barely above a whisper. I'm sorry for everything. She bent to kiss his forehead. You were trying to protect me, she murmured, tears slipping free. That's all I need to know. Later, after the chaos subsided, a single thought settled in Zara's mind. She had been chasing a lie, but uncovered a deeper truth, one that proved her love was stronger than any secret. Though shattered by betrayal and danger, they had found each other in the dark and refused to let go. The end. Enjoyed this story? We invite you to give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Your support motivates us to keep bringing more beautiful stories almost every day. We are very grateful for your effort. See you again.